One can come up with different ways of describing 2020, and most of them would probably have pretty negative implication. Was the hard year? It was. It was freaking hard. For so many people, in so many countries, in so many ways. One word that instantly comes up in my head is devastating. It's a good word to describe this year. It was so unwelcomed on the party where years gathered that literally no one's gonna invite 2020 anywhere again. I could add some stats, but you know what? I won't. Because we're all fed up with this year. We all saw it. Most of us experienced hardships one way or another. I decided to bring up some things that happened to me in particular, because every person had their own unique experiences this year, good and bad, where the bad ones not necessarily related to the pandemic itself. I will start from the bad part of the sandwich. I didn't manage to start my documentary that I was planning for so long and that sparked a fire inside of me, first time for so many years. Eventually it has never left the stage of pre-production, well, pandemic just made it way more complicated, aside of all essential difficulties that come up when you try to pull up something like that. One probably most difficult part of this year is that my mom had COVID and it was super stressful because she's 65. When it hits your family or people you know, stuff gets real super fast. Most of you who watch this probably know what I mean. Keeping it cool and trying to avoid irrational thinking helped me to cope with that, not losing my shit along the way. She made it, and this one thing alone marked 2020 as one of my best years, instantly. Many of my friends also had COVID, and if being short, they all made it through, which is already a huge gift for me. Now, my 90-year-old grandpa had surgery. I haven't seen him for ages, partially because of distance and partially because I lost contact with that part of family. I tried my best to establish some contact this year, at least through my mom, and helped with everything I could. My mom always said that grandpa is a tough guy. Now, after several months when he already got much better, I can clearly see why she said that. Even small steps, they already are a big deal. Just trust me, if you're in similar circumstances, do your move first. Sometimes we just don't have that much time to make this move. Another hit from this year was that I realized that I completely lost the way back to one person who actually meant the whole world to me for so many years back in the day. Sometimes we might be misled by a thought that we can always come back somewhere, but it's not true. People move on, and there's a point of no return. One thing that I learned from this is that it's just important to stand by the people we love that are with us right now. Being open to them, giving them space to be themselves around us, and not wasting that precious time that we have with them so little. On the other hand, or it's better to say on the other part of the sandwich, was this year that bad? Yeah, it was, but it motivated so many of us to do something with our lives, right? And I have great examples of why this year was not only the worst to me, but also the best, regardless of how it sounds. Just bear with me for a minute. First and foremost, I met so many great people that I cannot even describe how grateful I am. I was moved to a new team at work, and these people inspired me so much that I miss them every weekend and so glad to see them every morning on our meetings. That's a blessing to have such coworkers that are also your family. I also managed to travel to the mountains this summer where I did so many things for the first time, for instance, rope jumping from 90 feet tower. I'm afraid of heights. It was scary as hell, but this is what pushed me further. I think sometimes to evolve, we really should do something that scares us the most. I also took my running gear and experienced the best thing a runner can experience: running when being in the mountains. If that does not feel like freedom to you, I don't know what is. I also managed to have the cleanest diet in my whole life during the entire year. And despite I used to train more or less during the last 14 years, I never considered the aspect of health and mostly wanted to bulk up, look bigger and stuff. Basically, what all average boys want from the gym, right? But the diet was followed by bodyweight workouts at home and constant cardio, which I then spiced up with some new gear as gymnastics rings. Boy, are they difficult to nail. And also kettlebell. As a matter of fact, first time in my life, I managed to lose weight instead of gaining it when being on vacation, because I intentionally stayed active and did at least 15k steps a day. On that note, first time for the past 6 years, I shaved off my beard and didn't regret. I rate this decision 10 out of 10 and I would do it again. I highly recommend it. Last but not least, I started this project that you're watching now. This is another thing that alone is worth saying that it was my best year, because there's nothing more inspiring and important than feeling the sense of purpose. So, as you see, there's always something good even in something bad. And honestly, I don't know what happens next. I just know that many of us won't be the same when the pandemic ends. For many of us, life won't ever feel the same. But what if it's not a bad thing? What if it's a new beginning? The second chance to do something differently, to do something better, to be better versions of ourselves, to start appreciating people around us, to study more, to create more, and finally, to learn to stop at least time to time, setting everything on pause, breathing in the smell of the world around us, and then, when ready, confidently hitting play again.